It's time for the Flipping Hustle Podcast, where we talk all things real estate. And now, here are your hosts, John Zwirzina and Jeff Green.
Welcome to the Flipping Hustle Podcast. My name is John Zwirzina. Here with me always my partner, Jeff Green. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm in paradise down here in sunny South Florida. Couldn't be doing any better.
Nice. Today we're going to go over some of the top questions we get asked from real estate investors looking to get started. We'll also take questions from the listeners later in the show as well. Just type in your questions and we'll get to them at the end. Let's get started.
Today we have a special guest, Armando Montelongo. Armando is known as the original house flipper. He started and flipped this house as the most watched boss on Undercover Boss and has been rated by Inc. 500 as America's #2 fastest growing Hispanic businessman. Welcome to the show, Armando. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. Armando, let's get started by you telling everyone how you got started.
Well, I got started in real estate a number of years ago. It was funny because at the time, many years ago, when my wife gave birth to my first son, the doctors literally cut her the wrong way. And she lost half the blood in her body in about 20 minutes. And so I remember they were going to roll her into the ICU, and her face was white and her lips were blue. And the doctor says, be prepared to say goodbye because she may not live past the next 24 hours. So I'm sitting there and I'm in the ICU with her after she gets out of emergency surgery, and the nurse comes running in and she goes, Armando, we have a problem. And you know that if you're sitting with your spouse and she's in the intensive care unit and they tell you have a problem, you have a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And they say, you need to go down to Children's of LA. So I was located in Upland, California. Children's of LA is about an hour away. And I go down there and they had shipped my son down to the Children's Hospital. And the doctor says, Armando, your son literally could bleed to death. He doesn't have enough platelets to sustain life. So if we bump his head, or if he cries too hard, or heaven forbid, even if he just gets scratched, he could bleed to death in a matter of minutes. So he said, be prepared to say goodbye. Your son may not live past the next 24 hours. And so here I am. I'm told on the same day that the two people that I love the most in this world at that time may not live another day. And so fortunately, about 2.5 months later, they got out of the hospital. They both lived, and then we had nothing. So I had no savings at this time, and I ended up living in my in-laws' garage. So I had a condominium that was foreclosed on in Upland, California. I was not in real estate investing at that time. I did no real estate investing. I even tried to get a job as a pizza delivery driver, and they wouldn't hire me at that time. Okay. And I won't tell you the name of the pizza company, but I will tell you that it had a domino effect on my life. Okay. So nobody would hire me. Nobody would have me. I wasn't investing in real estate. I got foreclosed on. Ended up living in a garage, and literally on food stamps, about $50,000 in debt. At that time, I met a very, very wealthy man who was a developer in Southern California. And he told me, he goes, you need to go do real estate. And I was like, I don't have any money. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I have no license. I know nothing about this. And this was like before house flipping became cool. This was before people did house flipping. So when I started flipping houses, there was only a few of us. And literally we were known as bottom of the barrel scavengers. Oh, you're taking grandma's house. So if you flipped houses, now it's cool to be a house flipper. But back then, you're flipping a house, you're a bottom of the barrel scavenger. Like you're the lowest of the low, right? So it was, he told me move to Texas. So I go and I move to Texas, and I get there and I'm watching 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm watching Oprah because I'm unemployed, right? Because a lot of people say I'm a real estate investor, but you're home watching Oprah at 3 p.m. You're not a real estate investor. Okay. You got to get out there and look for the deals and do the work. Right.
Right.
And Oprah goes and says, oh my God, there's this mold scare in Texas. And then my mentor goes and says, or excuse me, I go and I pick up the newspaper, his closing docs on the deal, pick up a newspaper and it says, mold, houses depreciated by 40% overnight. I call my mentor, I said, why'd you send me to Texas? Houses depreciated by 40% overnight. And he goes, Armando, that is the solution to your problems. He goes, I just sent you in the fire where no one else is going. Everyone's running out, you're running in. And so I literally made $1 million my first year, and I made $3 million in 3 years. Invested in real estate. And this was before it was cool. This was before all the TV shows came out doing it. And I will tell you, it was the Wild West, and I had a hell of a lot of fun doing it. So that's how I got started in real estate.
How long did you do that, the show?
So before I did it, this is all before the TV show, right? So before the TV show, I started investing in 2001. And in 2005, the network came to me and they said, would you like to do a reality show? And at this time, that people, people didn't do reality shows. There was only a couple of reality shows at this time. There wasn't really any like house flipping reality shows. All HGTV and its glory didn't exist the way it does today. Okay. And so if you're going to do a reality show, it was like, man, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to put you in bad situations. People didn't know that like reality shows back then were set up. It was really like, oh, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to like, you're going to make you look bad. Right. So the nice thing is our reality show actually went according to like our life and how we actually did deals. So ours didn't have a lot of setup. People were like, "Where's your show set up?" And well, I had to walk in and out of the house several times. I normally only walk in the house one time, right? Because I had to film, but everything else was the real deal on our stuff, on our show. So we did the show for 4 seasons. And at that time, we had higher ratings than like the nightly news on CNN does right now in prime time. And we had amazing ratings during that time period. It was fun. It was great.
Well, I got a question. All these different, shows that flip houses and stuff. It's like, I always worry about the permit process because we get a permit for just about everything that we do. Mm-hmm. But how do they condense it? I mean, they never show the issues, the inspections. It's always just like the fluff of it. But as well as I do, when you renovate houses, you got to deal with, code enforcement officers, and you got to deal with, all that stuff. So
I'll tell you, I've done both. I've pulled permits and I've not pulled permits. And I'm like, I have students and I have seminars all over the country. And I'm very forthcoming with my people. I go, man, I pulled permits and I've like not pulled permits. Okay. I remember one time, the city called me while I was filming. So I'm going to answer your question. I was filming the show and the city chief inspector calls me in San Antonio and he goes, we need you to come downtown and have a meeting with us. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why do they need me to come down? So I go down. And they take me to the city offices. I go to this conference room, and there's the head plumbing inspector, the head electrical inspector, there's the head framing inspector, the head engineer, and the head city inspector, and 3 or 4 other guys, all the heads of the inspection. They said, Armando, he said, we get phone calls and faxes. This is back when faxes, right? We have phone calls, we have voicemail and faxes all the time, and people telling us that you're not pulling permits. They said, fact, look at this. And they pulled video of my TV show. They're like, do you see that wire? It was there. Okay. But now that wall's gone and that wire's not there. What happened to it? And I said, that's the magic of editing. Reality we can pull a permit for, right? And he goes, Armando, we get thousands of phone calls and emails and people mad at you that you're not pulling permits. And you know what they say? They all told us they want to see inspectors on TV. And the light bulb went off. And I said, well, do you know what I think people would find fascinating? I think people would find inspectors fascinated on TV. Would you guys like to be on the next episode? And they said, well, Armando, we would. I said, okay. Can we just call it even and move forward on this? And I'll have you guys on the next episode. And they said, Armando, yes, you can. And so we moved forward.
Problem solved.
Right?
Problem solved.
Problem solved. But I will tell you, so right now in San Antonio, they have a big strike force. Where literally the city has put a strike force out there for not taking permits and red tagging houses. So right now there's a lot of house flippers whose houses have stalled and are making hard money payments because they have to go tear the house apart because they didn't get permits done. That's one. So I actually have a class. I'm not promoting my class, but I have a class this weekend. I'm actually showing how to get red tag deals and deals directly from the city ordinance office, how to go out there and take over the city lien positions and take the house from the house flipper who didn't do his right, get the permits, talk to the city, and take those house deals over. And the nice thing is the other investors already put the down payment. They already have hard money loan in place. They've already done a level of repairs. So right now where people have a hard time getting deals, you don't have to go. You can go get red tag deals and get deals that most people can't. And so that's like one of the techniques that since doing this now for 20 years now, I've learned how to change techniques with what's going on in the economy, whether it's up or down or sideways. So right now, people are not finding a lot of deals, but there's red tag deals all over the place. So on the shows, a lot of the shows don't pull permits, and they get stopped and whatnot. But we learned our lesson very quickly to pull permits after about the 4th or 5th episode.
Yeah.
Well, some things you don't really have to. I mean, they say if you're going back with doing a change out, you're changing cabinets, but you're not changing the design. You're changing one front door one time a year.
Yeah.
But we still try to get as many as possible because we're trying to be in the good graces of the municipalities, and it's just about money. They want money.
Sure.
It's a bad economy for them, so we're just trying to help them out.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and it changes. It changes from city to city, but I do recommend. We used to tell people, hey, if you can get away with not getting permits, don't do it, right? But now we tell them, get permits, right? Get permits, do it right. It saves your backside, and we've been teaching that for years and years and years now, right? But the game's changed tremendously over the last 10 years.
Well, when the code enforcement people tell us to do something, we do it.
Right.
If the homeowners would do it, they wouldn't have fines. They wouldn't be losing their houses. There's a reason for the code enforcement. You just got to work with them and not against them.
Yeah, and it's better. So one of the things that we found is that the houses sell much quicker, right? So what we do is we put all of our green tags, all of our past permits, and ahead of time. And then we go and we bring all those past permits ahead. Now I'll give your listeners a little ninja strategy that we use. Okay. So we put all of our green tags together, all of our past permits, and we put them together. Okay. Now, in most states, if you go and you get a home inspection, you have to disclose it when you sell the house. So if I go get a home inspection on one of my houses, whatever comes up, and if I'm the seller, and the buyer gets their own home inspection, I still have to provide my home inspection as a disclosure. Except for I have in-house attorneys, so I have my attorneys call for a home inspection, and then it's attorney-client privilege.
Oh,
so nice. I don't have to go out there and disclose it. So I'll go pay $350, $450 for a home inspection, get the list of things that get repaired, get them repaired according to the inspector. Then when the buyer buys their inspectors, then my stuff sells smoothly, right. And it's attorney-client privilege, and I don't have to disclose that home inspection.
Very nice.
All right. So one of the number one questions we get asked, I guess, would be, should I get started with wholesaling or rehabbing first?
Rehabbing 100%. And I'll argue both sides of the case with anyone whatsoever, but I've been doing the business for 20 years. And the only reason somebody gets into wholesaling is because they don't either have the money or they don't have the skill set to raise the money for the deal. Okay. So get into wholesaling. People think, well, I'll go make $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000. Okay. The challenge with wholesaling that's going right now, you have a lot of wholesaling companies that give too low of ARVs and too high of repairs, so they have no repeat business. When the economy crashes, these wholesale companies are going to be out of business. I cannot tell you how many wholesalers. This was the wholesale fees were small. I bought 7 houses from a wholesaler in 1 month, paying $5,000, got me $35,000. I never heard from the guy again. I never, ever heard from the dude again. Okay. The guy retired off $35,000. So what happens is there's a low level of sophistication with wholesalers. And the only reason they want to go wholesale is because they don't have the skill set to put the repairs together, or they don't have the skill set to put the money together for the loans. So if they build their skill sets, they'll make much larger profits building a real business, because I want them, here's why. And I'll sit on the phone with any wholesaler, I don't care who they are, they're not going to be able to build a scalable business. And this is the reason why, is because businesses are built off of repeat clients. The average house flipper is not going to be able to do multiple houses. So you're always looking for new customers. And anytime you're looking for new customers all the time, there's a diminishing rate of return on your time and on your money and the investment. So McDonald's, they have repeat customers. Amazon, repeat customers. Wholesalers always looking for a new guy to go out there and do it. So when they give too low of ARVs and too high of purchase price and too high of repairs, they burn that rehabber, and now they're looking for a new rehabber. Learn how to do it right. Do it yourself. Have I wholesaled a few houses? Absolutely. But I built a much bigger business, and people need to understand. I've done over 400 houses in a single year for many years, over and over and over and over. Okay. So we actually got an award in Las Vegas in 2012 when no one went to Vegas. No one's going into Las Vegas at this time. We were buying houses for $85,000. I turned my students onto those houses. Those houses right now are going for $330,000 to $385,000 in the Summerlin area. You can look it up. But they give us an award. They actually called it Armando Montelongo Day, but I think it was a team reward when we flipped $43.8 million in 9 months out there. Okay. So I can have somebody go, oh, I know all about wholesaling. But when you put pen to paper and the numbers to it, you're gonna make a lot more money doing the rehabs than you are with the wholesales.
That's true. I mean, the good part is we employ so many people when we rehab. You've got the air conditioning guy and the tile person and the baseboard and the painter. the kitchen cabinet guy, just everybody. And, a lot of times they depend on us because they need work. And that is the good part of rehabbing. Of course, deeper pockets, more investors. And
I got started rehabbing. I had no money. I literally had nothing, right? I had nothing, right? I understand a lot of people get into the business don't have any money for like down payments or hard money loans, right? So one of the things that I do, I have this giant network that I've built up over since 2008 of investors all over the country, right? So what we do is when people come and we go and we train them, I might have an investor over here who has no money, okay? So people are either time poor or money poor. So they're time poor or money poor, right? So my people who are money poor, they just need a down payment. They just need a down payment. That's all they need. They don't need the whole dollar amount. They just need a down payment. So they become what we call the operator. We hook them with someone else up in our wolf pack who's a student who has the money. We have all sorts of people. They have money in their IRAs, down payment, credit cards, or whatever, who has good credit. And we put them in the same houses together and we teach them how to do a proper JV where they split the profits 50-50. This guy who had no money, he only has to do 3 under his belt. Then he's got the money to do his own deals. That's how I got started. But it's hard to look for people who have money. People are like, oh, go to a dentist, go to your doctor. Your doctor and dentist is not going to listen to you while you have tools, their tools in your mouth, right? So we hook people up within our network, like who have money and don't have money. And it becomes very effective to joint venture on deals, right? So I'm with you guys. I think that the economy of scale is better for rehabbing, but also the ripple effect, plumbers, electricians, carpenters. And then here's the other thing we teach. It's a real simple thing. All these rehab materials, don't go directly to your hard money lender for the rehab. Put it on a credit card, get your reward points. Then when the hard money lender pays you, then you pay your credit card down, and now you're traveling for free, or you upgrade from economy to first class, right? You have to run like a real business.
I use American Express, and I had $3,000 in Home Depot cards from that, and it was amazing.
Nice.
$3,000 in materials just for using the Amex card.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
That was actually one of the next questions that you touched on was, what are your thoughts on partnerships like 50-50 rehab partnerships?
So I think 50-50, the reason why I always go after 50-50, okay, so let's pretend that I'm the guy who has no money, because that's how I started. I was the guy who had no money. The first person I asked to invest in a deal with me was a real estate attorney. Why? Who was? Because he had money. I said, no, because he didn't have to ask his attorney if it was a good deal, right? So I gave him 50% of the profit. I did all the work. He put the money into it, and I gave him 50% of the profit. Why? Because I went hit his greed factor. When people go say, no, I only want to give him 30%. Why? You have a deal, but you don't have anything without that money. Hit their greed factor, give them 50% of the net profits. You do all the work. Hit that greed factor, start your business. You're literally starting a business with nothing out of your pocket. Hit that greed factor. So here's what I think. Joint ventures done 3 houses, up to 3 houses at a time. Don't make long-term joint ventures. Don't make long-term partnerships in house flipping, and lay the terms. So one of the things that I've done a lot of things wrong in business, but one of the things I did right was, this gentleman's name was Brian Cartal, who's a real estate attorney at the time. And I said, Brian, I'm looking to go out there and eventually go on my own. I would like to do 3 houses and then maybe 2 more, make enough money to go out there and then go on my own. He goes, Armando, if you're going to make me money on 3 houses and I can have the profit, I'm in. After those 3 houses, okay, on the 4th house, he said, Brian, how would you just like to loan me money at 12% interest? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to make 12% of my money. I said, yeah. So he goes, I'm in. So then he goes down to the Cadillac bar where all the lawyers hang out in San Antonio, where they have these big mass margaritas. They're drinking big ass margaritas, bragging to all his friends, he's making 12% on his money in real estate. And guess what all those attorney friends did? So at the end of my first year in business, I had $1 million line of credit from attorneys doing deals, private money, no down payment, no monthly payments. I paid them at the end of the deal. Okay. But you have to put yourself in that position to win. And you have to not be greedy. You have to give up profit to people. You have to hit their greed factor, okay, and give them a great ROI on their investment. But I would, for partnership deals, to answer your question succinctly, John, I would go 3 deals at a time max on partnership deals.
And how do you structure those? I mean, you have the attorney put it together, or is it just a basic couple-page agreement that spells out everything? What's going on there?
So I'm always going to tell people have an attorney put it together. But what we do is there's a couple different ways to go do that, right? So the person who has the money, that person who actually has the money should put the property in their name because they're going to get the hard money loan and they're going to be making the payments on the hard money loan. The person who found the deal and doesn't have the money should then be able to file a joint venture agreement that's signed for 50%, but is signed and notarized so that it becomes a signed affidavit. And the guy who doesn't have the money needs to keep the original, file at the county courthouse steps 4 days after closing. So then it clouds title and he has a lien holder position. The mistake that people don't do is they don't file that paperwork or they don't get it signed by an affidavit. They're like, oh, we got a great deal, we're in business. And then they just go on thinking that it's always going to be a honeymoon period. And it's not always going to be a honeymoon period. You're going to have some rough patches in business, right? So you file that joint venture agreement. If it's cloud, so you cloud title, it has to be signed and notarized with an original. The guy who has the money needs to be able to keep that deal and that loan in his name because he's got the money and the credit. The other person is going to be doing all the work, but they have a lien holder position. Essentially, it's clouded title. It's not a true lien holder position, but it's clouded title for ownership. So when it goes to the title company, it will show up in title and they split the profits 50-50 by seeing that JV agreement.
Awesome. Good explanation. That's very good. We have that question all the time, and they try their own style of it or their own brand of it, and sometimes it blows up, and it's almost like a husband and wife fight. And sometimes when you get these partners out there,
I tell my students, I said, don't do it. I said, listen, you can do it your way if you want to. I've just made millions and millions of dollars doing it my way.
Well, it sounds like it's working out.
Yeah. So you can do it however you want to. Do it your way if you like, but I just made millions and millions doing it my way, right? So
well, that's why you're the guy behind the camera, because you know what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I'm passionate. I love this business. I love this business. I actually want people who do that to be incredibly successful doing it. It's a fun business. You can make a hell of a lot of money in this business, as you gentlemen know. It's a fun business. It's a work from home business. It's a have no boss business.
Yeah.
Right. It's a great way for people who have no money to get into business. But to go out there and try it on your own and to wheel and deal and do it on your own, and I mean, that is an expensive, egotistical, long road, mostly to failure that's going to happen. Right? You have to have somebody teach you and coach you throughout the way. And I don't care if it's not me, get somebody to do it. Just make sure they're good at doing it. Make sure they just get somebody who's really great at doing it. Right?
The interesting part is we don't really have to get up and do anything tomorrow if we don't want to. But
right.
we will because we're motivated. And basically, it's in our blood. This is what we do. And we realize the more motivated we are and the more action that we take, the more success we're going to have.
So when the fake pandemic hit, right, everyone's businesses went to hell in a handbasket, right? I lived off rental properties. I mean, I have one commercial building that I make about $50,000 a month, whether I wake up or not. I make about $50,000 a month off of it, whether I get up or not including all my other rentals and loans and notes that I have out there. And so my rent, by the way, I've only lost in all my commercial buildings, 3 or 4 commercial renters, of which I've replaced tenants, of which I've replaced all of them with higher rents. And just last month, I had my first tenant not pay me. Just last month on a residential home. And we just did a workout program with her. We are called, we treat her super kind, super nice. Here's where you can go to the city and actually go get money for your rent. Okay? Your husband's out of work. Have him come do some work for us. He's a welder, come do some work for us. That gives me a beat on, are they just want a freebie or are they really in hard times? Because if her husband doesn't volunteer for us,
right,
then she wants a freebie. If he does volunteer for us and they're really on hard times, and that helps me judge my next actions, right? So we treat people very kind during this time period, but properly structured rental agreements, even during the pandemic, right? So we restructured our commercial rental agreements for future pandemics, right? But we only lost 3 to 4 commercial tenants, of which we replaced all of them. In fact, our rents have gone up during this time period. Most people are not collecting rent. So knowing how to do this is key. And even if I didn't work, which I did work during the pandemic, right? But even if I didn't work, my lifestyle was paid for, because other people, here's what I'd say, their number one job is they wake up and they say, I got to go to work because I got to pay the rent. So you have all these people who are waking up every morning going, I got to go pay this guy. And their first thought, I am their first thought in the morning.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It's a great country.
Yeah. Another question that we get all the time is, should I work with a realtor, and how do I find a good one?
So I do think people should work with realtors. Unless, no, because I'm always full disclosure, and I'll tell people my mistakes, what's good and what's bad. So I developed software that we do not sell, that we do not share, that I can tap on. I can look at any foreclosure in the state of Texas, and it'll pull up the foreclosure. It'll evaluate the foreclosure. It's not something I bought from somebody else. I bought software, or it's not something I bought. I had software developers do it according to how I do real estate. It can evaluate the deals, off-market and on-market deals. It's pretty amazing stuff. There's a lot of people who are trying to develop stuff like this, but it's pretty amazing stuff that's not out there. If you're new, you need a realtor. Okay. If you're experienced, you need a realtor unless you're a realtor. Okay. So how do you find a realtor? There's a couple of different levels I would talk about this. If you're brand new and you don't have any money, you're not going to find a realtor who has money and who's real motivated to work with you. Let's just say it what it is, right? Because that realtor, they're going to pre-qual you. They're taught to pre-qual you. Oh, how long have you been looking? When do you want to buy? What do you do for a living? How much money do you have? They're going to ask you all these qualifying questions, okay? So if you don't have a lot of money, you're just starting this business, I make Saturday morning phone calls, okay? I'm going to give you a couple of techniques I did to start and that still work today, okay? Because I teach them to my students. I'm calling on Saturday morning. I'm calling those realtor offices, because who is answering those broker phones on Saturday morning? The newbies.
Yep.
That new realtor, the one, and not just the new one, the one who's hungry. Not the guy not the girl who just got her license and she's sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring. The new one, right? The person who's hungry is sitting there. So I'm calling that realtor and I'm telling them a few things. Okay, so here's what we tell our students. Hey, listen, Mrs. New Realtor, my name's Armando, and me and a couple of investor friends of mine are investing in San Antonio or investing in Florida or Massachusetts, right? Well, who your investor? They don't say who your investor friends. Well, I got this huge fucking network of people, right? And we have $500,000 burning a hole in our pocket. And the new people never sit there and ask you for pre-qualification funds, which we do give people pre-qual funds, right? I'd like to go out and look at some properties. When are you looking at buying? Within the next 30 days. And if you tell them that, and they're there answering the phone, they're going to go out there. Now, don't jerk them around. Don't you say, I want lowball offers. Don't tell them those type of things. Tell them I want to make good offers on based upon market values, but don't jerk them around. Don't have them drive you all around. You need to know what you're looking for. So they need to pull some deals. You need to tell them what the parameters of deals you're looking for and the areas you're looking for, so that you can look at those deals from your email, and then you go look at those deals. Don't drive them around. You're going to lose friends real fast, okay? If you're a more advanced realtor, you can go and look up REO brokers or REO agents, right? Or friends of REO agents, and those are super easy to go find in any city, right? And these are the individuals, REO agents. Here's something that I do. So let's pretend Jeff's not a broker. All right, let's pretend Jeff's a realtor, not a broker, okay? But he's a friend, and I know what he's doing out here, right? Well, I'm going to go and I'm going to Google all my brokers in, let's say, Fort Lauderdale. Who are my REO brokers or real estate owned brokers? I'm going to go Google them. And then I'm going to look at their properties, because I'm going to be able to find these things on Redfin, okay? Or Zillow or whatnot. I just need to find one of their properties, because then I can go cross-reference and find all the rest of their properties, everything else they have listed. Then I'm going to have Jeff contact them and say, Jeff, everything by Mike, the REO broker, pull up everything that Mark, the REO broker, has for me. Now I have a vetted list. It's not perfect, but it's somewhat vetted. I know that I have some interest. And by the way, everyone who's on this, I understand there's not any foreclosure right now. I get that, and I'll address that. If you guys want to ask me those questions, I'll address that in a minute, how to find some kick-ass deals, okay? But it's going to open up. And when it does, this is what you need to be doing. This is absolutely what you need to be doing, okay? So then Jeff is now going to go and bring me a list of REO brokers, Mike, the REO broker, all of his properties. Now I have a vetted list. Now I got some stuff with some tall grass and some busted windows that I want to go look at. Now Jeff and I, from that list that I've looked at, if I run my numbers, if you're educated to run my numbers, now Jeff and I can go spend some time on a Friday afternoon looking at some deals, right? Now Jeff's like, no, I'm not jerking him around, because I'm looking at some real deals. And by the way, I'm going to go and map those suckers out. So Jeff and I can go look at 5 or 6 houses in a 3-hour time period, not 5 or 6 houses in an 8-hour time period. I want those things clustered. I want them together.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel bad after, all the people you beat out because they're FHA and conventional, and they want to do the FHA 203K mortgage and all these. Cash is king.
I never feel bad about beating somebody. I never feel bad about right? I never feel bad about taking
Yes,
a
I don't
deal from
think
somebody. What's that?
we don't
We'll
either.
sell it to 'em. We'll sell it to them after we renovate it and put a facelift on it.
That's right. They
Yeah.
can have that. They can have a finished product.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
We'll even finance it. Education, you're only as good as your education. I believe in that. I've been to, different courses and classes and stuff. And, I'm not going to say I've just, because there's a lot of people that they overanalyze everything, paralysis analysis. But, it works. You just got to do it. It's like I remember the first house I ever bought, the wife looked at it. She's like, if I had seen that, you would have never bought that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. It is true, though. It is
I
true.
bought it, and here I am now, and I'm making some money.
That's nice. I like it.
Another question we get that we were just touching on a minute ago. I'm having trouble finding deals. How do you find your deals?
Great. I'll give it, if everybody has, if the people who are watching this have a pen and paper, I'm going to give them some stuff they've never heard about. Even I don't care if they've listened to 100 fucking podcasts. Okay. So one of the things that Jeff talked about is education. So I'm going to give you an education pretty quick, stuff that I'm teaching this weekend about some places to go. I think what I'm particularly great about is I'm great at taking things that are very, very complex and making them very simple. So I don't consider myself a real estate investor. I don't consider myself a seminar educator. I consider myself a systems guy. I'm great at taking difficult concepts and making them very, very simple. I suck at a lot of things, but that I'm particularly good at, right? So if I want to evaluate a house, if I don't have software, real software, there's a lot of BS software out there, guys, a lot of bad software out there. But I need to be able to analyze a house. So I can walk into a house with no numbers, and my students who do my stuff, they can walk into a house and in less than 5 minutes walk through a house with no notes and be able to analyze the ARV, the comps, the values, the repairs in under 5 minutes and be within $500 of my final budget numbers. Okay, that's how educated you have to be, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of places to go right now until the foreclosures open up. One of the things you want to go, and this is a term that you're hearing right now a lot in the news, is conservatorship. So you want to go to something called conservatorship deals. Okay, so conservatorship deals are deals where people become wards of the state. Maybe they have a mental condition or a physical condition. Okay, here's how we discovered a conservatorship deal. My son Monoman, who's 22, he's been flipping houses since he was 16. Okay, several years ago, he was doing a demolition deal. Okay, so if you remind me in a second, John, I'll talk to him about demolition deals as well. Okay, so he was going and he was chasing a demolition deal with the city. So what happens is the city managers get together, and you don't go to the big city. You go all the outlying cities. So you have the big city of San Antonio, and then you have all these small cities like Schertz, Selma, Live Oak. You go all these small cities, right? And they have the city managers get together, the city council get together, and then the city ordinance comes up and says, hey, whose house is a piece of crap? Who's got cars in front of it? And so the head of city ordinance is there and goes, house 123 in Apple Street here's the report. It's got 5 cars that are no wheels in front of it. It's got grass about 3 feet high. It's got 4 broken windows. It's got kids coming in and out of there. We have 17 letters, and then the city votes on whether to put on the demolition list or not, which I'll talk to you guys about in a second. Okay, so we're sitting there, and they break up this house that has really bad repairs and is in need. And they said, "Would the owner of the house like to stand up and basically defend themselves?" And the woman stands up and she goes, "I'm not the owner of the house." She goes, "I'm the conservator." And I go, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. I fucking smell blood in the water. I don't know what it is yet, but I smell blood, right? And she goes, "You need to understand." She goes, "I'm a ward." She goes, "The person's a ward of the state. I'm the conservator." She goes, "We don't even have enough money to mow the grass." She goes, "We have $35 left in the bank account. Any money that's left there has already been given to the mental hospital to take care of this particular individual." She goes, "I don't know what to do." She goes, "Can you give me a few months?" And so the board is very nice. They said, "We'll give you a few months." And she says, "Okay." And she walks out. I told my son, "Go get her."
Yeah.
I said, "Go get her." And I'm going to tell you something. And those city board deals, you know what I see? I see 0 real estate investors. I see 0 realtors. I see 0 brokers. I see 0 hard money lenders. I see 0. Right? It is blue ocean. There's no one there. So when people tell me they can't get deals, they just don't have the skill set. Right? They just don't have the skill set.
It used to be so easy. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. bank-owned property would come up on the MLS. You shoot an offer, all cash. Here's your proof of funds, and done. It used to be so simple.
So my son goes and explains to her, right? My son goes in, hey, Stephen Nagy, what's up, buddy? I know Stephen. So my son goes and makes a deal with her and says, hey, listen, do you have the rights to sell the house? She says, I do, right? She goes, I do. He goes, how about if you let me help you liquidate so you can continue to pay the bills? She goes, would you like that? He goes, okay. She goes, okay. She goes, well, should I get a realtor involved? And he goes, yes, you can get a realtor involved. So it's good to use a realtor if you're an investor. You don't want her to get a realtor involved, right? He goes, yes, you can get a realtor involved if you like, or I can just give you an evaluation and show you comps and help you close on this property. How fast? He goes, how fast do you need to liquidate? She goes, I need money. I need money. I have bills coming up in the next 30 days. He goes, would 2 weeks be fast enough? She goes, yes. And so now these are deals that you're helping people. You literally are helping people, and there's a ton of profit in these deals. Right? So that's one way. Another way is demolition deals. The city has a running demolition list, and all these real estate investors get so scared because they're on the demolition list. All you have to do to pull a house off the demolition list is show the city it's under contract, and then board it up within 2 weeks. Give them a date that you're going to go board it up and mow the grass, and they will pull it off the demolition. I bought my first demolition house in 2004. No one did it. I did one on my TV show, and people were freaked out about me buying a city demolition deal. It's a mainstay for getting great deals off the city demolition list. They're great. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you, you don't have real estate investors who are going there. So I have about 6 or 7 other ways that are off market deals. You're not gonna find any wholesalers looking for this stuff. There's no realtors there. There's no brokers there. There's no investors there. Okay. And it's a wide open field where no one's playing, and you get to play by yourself. And when you play by yourself, it's a lot of money.
Going back to that lady, we call ourselves professional problem solvers. It's actually on our card.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Professional problem solvers. Stephen Nagy, shout out to you. He's one of my agents. Awesome guy. Salt of the earth. Wonderful person. Stephen.
I'd say that most of our deals come off of, well, we have a contact at the city of West Palm Beach, me and Jeff, and that's probably demo orders, properties with fines. I mean, that's
fantastic.
No, we don't.
our bread and butter lately.
That's beautiful.
So how do I determine the value of a property?
I think that most people are going to tell you to go with comps, right, and get comparables. But I think you got to take it one step further. A lot of times appraisers will do a comparable, which I think is completely wrong, within a half-mile radius or a 1 mile. It used to be a 1 mile radius. Now they do half-mile radiuses. It's a terrible idea. Okay. And you have to be very careful. I know Jeff and John know completely different. They know better than this, right? But and I know that you guys have seen realtors go out there and comp shit within 3 miles. Okay. They're literally trying to pull comps. That is the death of a deal. That is the death of a real estate investor. Okay. Your comps need to happen within the same subdivision. So in a large city, you'll have multiple subdivisions, and you need to pull comps in that same subdivision. And then within that subdivision, make sure there's no major streets, and pull comps on the same sides. So let's say you have a major subdivision, right? You want to follow, you're gonna have dozens and dozens of subdivisions in a major city. Pull it within a singular subdivision. If there's a major street going through there, pull comps on both sides of that subdivision street. But normally, in most cities across America, within that subdivision, the comps will typically be the same within the same subdivision. But if there's major streets, comp on both sides of those, okay? That's what I'm going to look at. That's what I'm going to look at. And those comps should be somewhere square footage within 100 square feet, not 200 square feet. Days on market. You want those days on market to be under 30 days, which you have no problem finding in today's market. Though they need to have sold. The other properties need to have sold in the last 6 months, okay? And the years needs to be within a 10-year time period. Those are just a few of the factors you want to look at for comp on a property.
A lot of times we use the property appraiser of the different areas because we're able to go from house to house, and in certain areas they have different colors that you can click on if it was sales like in the last 6 months, and then you can kind of go from one to the other because not everything's on the MLS, not everything's in a data service. So we use a lot of different ways to compare the properties. Plus, we try to actually have a few different houses in the same neighborhood because we're building our own comparables, and we buy them in different LLCs. That way, the old appraisers that go, oh yeah, well that's your own house, we can't use that. Well, not going to happen.
Yeah, I love that technique. We used to do that a lot with owner financing because you can raise the value. You can sell the houses above market value, raise the value for it, and then you raise the value of the entire neighborhood. And then you're 3 or 4 houses, 5 houses down. Now you're selling them conventionally, and you've raised the value of the neighborhood by 20 or 30 or 40 grand. So
here's an interesting story. We have a renovation that was supposed to close 3 weeks ago, and we were supposed to give the guy $5,000 back. So after the 2-week extension, we took 1,000 away. Mm-hmm. After the extra week, we took another 500 away from seller contribution. If it doesn't close tomorrow, that was at 320. We have a contract today at 334.9 is a difference of 18,500. 3 weeks is long enough to wait. I can wait another 40 days for an additional 18,500 plus comparables in the neighborhood would be a lot better. So it's a shame it's not selling and closing, but it's going to make us a whole lot more money. So
yeah, another rehab in that neighborhood.
Oh yeah, we do have another rehab in the neighborhood.
Nice.
Yes,
very nice.
So it's amazing. We've had 2 houses a bunch of different times right next to each other because the neighbors come out. Yeah, you've heard of the domino effect. They, you start working on yours and making it nice, and the neighbor comes out and starts cutting their grass for a change, and then they paint their house. So, we're changing neighborhoods 1 house at a time. Another one of our taglines, and it's happened a bunch of different times where we've just had 2 side by side, and then we can't paint it the same color because we always use our patented bright yellow because it's a Florida shine.
Beautiful. I love it.
Nice.
I got a question from Josh. Do you suggest doing deals in cities I don't live in, or how far out would you go?
So let me define cities you don't live in, right? So if you're talking about 20 or 30 minutes away, it's just labeled as a different city. So like you're in California or Florida and you have multiple chain cities together. Yeah, of course. If you're having to go into a market that you're not familiar with, I will just tell you, it's like fishing, right? People love to go to the next pond over because there's more fish in the next pond. They like to go to the next stream because there's more fish in the next stream. What you have to do, let me give you a really good example of this. So I was doing, with our network, we have something called Wolfpack Meetups. Now you guys have to understand, we have like 300,000 people a year come through like our company. Okay, so we have this huge Wolfpack that we've built up over the years. So we have what we call the Wolfpack Meetups. We have all the investors show up. So I go show up to an investor meeting, and they're like these Wolfpack Meetups. After they've gone and done the education, these Wolfpack Meetups are free. We just do it to keep people engaged and learning and whatnot, right? So I'm in LA doing some other business. They're having a Wolfpack Meetup, and they asked me to invite me to come speak at the Wolfpack Meetup, and these are students of mine. So they rented out a movie theater, and this is LA. There's a ton of individuals, right, at this movie theater. Well, what's interesting is they're going and they're saying, "Hey, Armando, I have a student raise up." She goes, "Armando, I did 4 deals. I made a ton of money, but now I can't find any deals." Okay. I go, "All right, so tell me about your offers." She goes, "I made a lot of offers." I said, "How many offers?" She goes, "A ton." I said, "How many?" She goes, "I made like 5 in the last 6 months." I said, "Okay, so that's like less than 1 a month. So that's not a ton. Let's just get very clear." I said, "Where did you make them?" She goes, "I made 1 in Manhattan Beach, right? Then I made 1 in Pacific Palisades." She goes, "And then I made 1 in Pasadena." She goes, "And then I made 1 in Riverside, and then I made 1 down in Orange." So if you know California, they're 45-minute drives from each other. And I told her, if you just target, let's say Pacific Palisades, right? Or if you target just Riverside, your intelligence for that area is going to build so much more. You're going to know when great deals pop across your desk. So if you're in a highly populated city, if you're in a city with over 1 million people, all right, then I would focus on the city that you're in your backyard and build your IP, okay? Meaning you need to build your intellectual property, right? Your intellectual property of your area. So I could go and ask you and say, "Hey, what city do you live in?" I'll say, give me an area where the houses are 300 grand. And you'll be able to pop off 2 or 3 areas in your city that houses are 300 grand. So you already have some IP. What you need to do is build upon that. Don't go fish in another city. Build upon that IP right there, because it comes down to systems. Because what you're going to find when you get really good at this shit, you're going to find out that maybe Bank of America takes, when foreclosures happen, an 87% deduction off list price, Where you might go and find Chase takes an 89% reduction off the list price, but you're not going to know that if you're chasing markets all over. So that when you make your first offer, you get an offer accepted. That's how good you have to become in this business.
We have to remember to talk to Armando about Palisades. I believe there's something that popped up a few days ago. We got to remember that. Yes, don't forget. Sorry.
That's a market you go. Do you deal with stuff in California, right? Pacific Palisades area, maybe? All right.
I know California extremely well. We made a ton of money in California.
All right.
Yeah.
We happened to stumble across someone and just a day
Bought
or
two
ago.
houses from them in West Palm Beach, and then they just happened to have something out there.
All right. Sure.
All right. Okay. What's next?
What's question from Harvey? What is an acceptable profit margin?
I would want my profit margin to be 10% of my sales value of my ARV. I need it to be 10%. So if you have a $300,000 house, I want to make $300,000. If you're doing a $300,000 house and you're making $12,000 to $15,000, your margins are so small. If you screw up, you're going to lose money. Okay. So I tell my students, I want them to make them a minimum of $24,000 on a deal. Okay. But that's up to a $250,000 property. So after that, I want to go 10% of the value. Okay. So
That's a good rule to go by.
yeah, it's a pretty simple rule. That's not really how I evaluate my deals, so that we're clear. I evaluate my deals differently than that, but that's just a quick and dirty answer.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah. We're making offers. I think we just go like a quick to shoot somebody an offer quick, maybe 65, 70% of the ARV or something, depending on, and then we'll go back. But I got a question that comes up all the time. Should I start an LLC right away?
Yes.
Or use land trusts? Or
No.
both?
Land trusts are really good in the seminar business to blow smoke up people's ass and get them to spend a lot of money. Okay. But they give you no protection whatsoever against the lawsuit. Okay. So here's what everyone needs to understand. Land trusts are a cloud. So unless you're worth tens of millions of dollars, you don't need to cloud people from seeing your assets. Okay. Land trusts are a cloud, but you have to understand, in a deposition, an intelligent attorney is going to break through that cloud and you're going to have to answer it. Okay. Or even in discovery. So it's a real nice thing for the seminar business to go sell people stuff that doesn't matter. I don't believe in that. I think it's bad business. It's also the reason why I'm the only seminar company who's lasted through multiple government inquiries on the seminar business. A bunch of guys got wiped out last year because they're not teaching real business. Okay. And these are guys who used to go and try to be in business with me. They got wiped out because they're not teaching real stuff. Okay. Land trusts are not going to give you the asset protection because the land trust has to have a beneficiary and a trustee. The beneficiary is the owner of the land trust. Okay. So if it's you personally, you have no asset protection. Consider a land trust like a cloud. You can reach through a cloud. You may not know what you're seeing, but you can reach through a cloud and grab you by the financial neck. Now, if you just sold on doing a land trust, if somebody stood on stage, you just sold on doing a land trust, make sure the beneficial interest is owned by an LLC. Make sure the trustee is owned by a different LLC. Okay. That's key. But an LLC is going to give you the adequate protection that you need. Okay. But yes, you need to start with an LLC. Okay. And I know this. I did a deal one time. You guys got 2 seconds for
oh yeah, we got time. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm in my first year of business. I went from living in a garage on food stamps. I'm on my way to making $1 million. And I get this mold house. And there's a mold infested house. This guy calls me and I go look at his house to go buy his house. And his wife's not there. He asked me to come back and look at it again. And I'm talking about buying his house. I'm negotiating with it, and I can make like 150 grand on that. And his wife's not there. The third time I go look at it, he goes, my wife and I have discussed, we want to keep the house. Will you consider remodeling it for us? But his wife's still not there. I'm starting to think, why is she not there? This is kind of weird, right? I said, I'm not really interested in remodeling your house for you. I want to buy houses. That's what I do to buy houses. Because Armando, we just really need help. There's all this mold in it. Would you consider doing the mold remediation? Because I was buying mold infested houses, so I engaged a mold remediation crew where I brought on as employees, right? So I said, okay, I'll charge you the full insurance money, which I made good money on the insurance money. I made like 60 grand, but I didn't make 150 grand on it, right? It was make 60 grand or didn't do the deal. So the thing is, I made 60 grand, I made it in about a week. It's basically a demo job and a clean out job, right? Got rid of the mold. Okay, because my whole thing then I was buying mold infested houses. So this was like working off the back of our hand. So he goes, Armando, will you remodel my house? And I said, I don't want to remodel your house. And he goes, I just want you to remodel my house. I said, I'm not going to remodel your house. So he asked me to put a bid together for remodeling, which I did. And his wife ends up running the project and taking all the general contracting money from the insurance company. So about 6 months later, in the back of my office, right, we hear, and my office manager comes running. She goes, Armando, there's a woman back there with a U-Haul truck and 3 huge guys, and she's screaming and saying that she's going to sue you. Right? Now, you have to understand that when we did the remote remediation on this house, okay, there was water leaks all over the floors. So I have wood floors here, right? But her house is completely wood floors, but the wood was this high up all over because the house had been vacant for a year. So water had come in and the wood had buckled. So the house had been vacant for a year because they've been negotiating a settlement with the insurance company. Right. So the house has been vacant for a year. There's a couple of pieces of furniture, a couple of beds, soft goods, right, that we had to move out. A few dressers and like tables that we cleaned and we stored in our warehouse for them. Okay, that was the condition of the house. She goes, she shut the door. She goes, I'm going to sue you. You stole all my stuff. I said, wait, who are you? She goes, I'm Mrs. Allison. She goes, I'm going to sue you. You stole all my stuff. I said, ma'am, I don't know who you are. Well, it was her husband that I've been dealing with. Now I realize why I never met her before. He didn't bring her around.
Right.
She's just this nasty, nasty person, right? And I said, ma'am, she goes, I said, we didn't steal anything. She goes, yes, you did. You stole all my stuff. I said, ma'am, it's right here. It's right here. You can have it. It's all like enclosed. We have on a contract that was taken out of the house and it's stored for you. She goes, you stole it. I said, and what I came out to find out she was pissed off about is the rehab was about $70,000 and it took her 6 months. The demo was $60,000 and it took us about a week to do it. And that's what she was really pissed off about, right? And I go, ma'am, she goes, and now you got to understand, guys, I'm like 31 at this time, right? I'm brand new in business, right? Brand new in business. And she goes, I said, ma'am, go ahead. And she goes, you don't understand. I'm going to take you to court every day, right? I said, ma'am, you can't sue me. I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof because I had all my LLCs set up, all my documentation, family limited partnerships, LLCs. She goes, you don't understand me. She goes, you don't understand. I'm going to have you in court every day. And the way she said it, I was like, shit, like what is she saying, right? So the next day I get a fax machine from an attorney for a $600,000 demand. And I started looking at this demand and it says that she's missing a Tiffany diamond ring given by Judge Solomon. She's missing Tiffany diamond earrings given by Judge Rodriguez. She's missing Tiffany bracelet given by Judge Gonzalez.
Judge.
And I came to find out that her husband was the president of the Bar Association in San Antonio for 40 years. And so here I am, 31. I have no name, no reputation. And I tried calling dozens of attorneys and no one in San Antonio would represent me because it's a good old boy association. Okay. I found a guy out of Houston, an old retired real estate attorney who just moved to San Antonio, who took my case, and he called me and he goes, young man, he goes, you're learning how the legal system really works. He goes, and there's no legal system. It's a good old boy network of who scratches whose back. So when he goes before the judge, we had an indemnification clause, and he goes, Judge, I want to show you our indemnification clause. And the judge goes, shh, to my attorney. He goes, Jimmy, this is the president of the Bar Association, didn't even acknowledge either attorney. He goes, shh, Jimmy, tell me what's going on, sir. We went to arbitration, and the arbitrator gets on the phone and tells my attorney, you know I can't let Jimmy lose, right? I'm like, fine. So my attorney, now this is 2001, right? I'm not super good at emails. My attorney forwards me an email from their attorney. And the guy wrote a nasty message, and I wrote to my attorney, ha, 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 right? Ha, ha, ha. This guy's just an old geezer, right? Ha, 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 ha. What a loser. And I hit return all. Oops. Oops. And 3 minutes later, he sent me a message going, your grandkids are going to owe Jimmy's grandkids money. It's like, shit, right? Yeah. So they go to arbitration. I didn't go. My attorney calls me. He sued me for $600,000. My attorney goes, Armando, he called me after the arbitration. He goes, Armando, we lost. I go, how bad did we lose, Terry? He goes, you lost. He goes, you have to pay him $11,000. I go, Terry, we didn't lose. We won. Because I had my LLC set up. And what I had done is I went and I pulled out equity loans against all my properties and equity stripped them. And I had my LLCs and my family limited partnerships set up at that time. Family limited partnerships are really important. Then LLCs have taken the place of that now because now they have history. So having your asset protection set up properly right from the get-go is critical. Do you need land trust? I used to have land trust, but I got rid of all of them because I've been through every battle you could possibly imagine. When it comes to the legalities, every battle you could possibly imagine. And I'm going to tell you that you don't need those. Hopefully that answers your question.
All right. It's about 8:00 now. Anything else? I don't know if we have any.
I could have done this for 2 hours. It's good stuff. Real good stuff.
Well, I guess, Armando, I want to thank you for attending today. Anything you want to say to everyone? Now they can follow you, etc.
You know what? For people who actually want, I did ask you guys if I could, and I'd like to go and give back, like truly give back to people, because I did make a promise that if I ever learn how to be successful, that I would share it with the world. So if people want a free copy of my book, we usually charge for the book. If they want a free copy, they can go to armandosbook.com. I'm just going to type it in here. So then go to armandosbook.com and get a free copy of my book. Okay. So armandosbook.com, they get a free copy of the book. It's only going to be up for tonight, so it won't be up. So they'll have to go right now and go grab it. And on it will tell you, there's two sides of the book that's really great. It's called Flip and Grow Rich. How did I get started? How did I actually structure those first deals? How did I get over the mental hurdles of get going, which is a big piece of the business? How did I get over the mental components? And then two, how do I actually structure multiple types of very complex deals? So the left side is about the stories of how I got started. The right side is about how I structured multiple complex deals all the way through. And it was a bestseller book. It was incredible, but we'll go and give it to you guys, guests, for absolutely free. But it will be offline tomorrow. So my team put it up for tonight for this.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll have you back on again. I'm sure we have a lot more to talk about.
Pleasure. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a great day. Appreciate it. Everyone take care. Good
Yep.
night.
Everyone, please just take a minute, like and follow, and stay up to date with our podcasts and shows and events. That's about it.
Well, I got a final plug for sunshinestatetitle.net. That's our title company, and myself and John and my sons, Robert and Austin, own that as well with Evan and Jimmy Miller. And legally, they can do just about anything we need with all the LLCs and closings and everything else.
Thank you for listening to the Flipping Hustle podcast. Make sure you like this episode, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on social media. The Flipping Hustle podcast is brought to you by Palm Beach Investors Realty. Palm Beach Investors Realty is a full-service real estate brokerage firm owned and operated by investors that saw a need for a real estate brokerage firm for real estate investors, landlords, and rehabbers. The owners have been investing in South Florida real estate since 2005 and have fixed and flipped over 100 properties. If you are looking to buy or sell a residential or commercial investment property, Palm Beach Investors Realty should be your first call. For more information, visit www.pbinvestorsrealty.com. Also by Sunshine State Title. Sunshine State Title serves all of Florida, and our focus has always been on serving our customers by conducting our business better, smoother, and more efficiently than the competition. Sunshine State Title is an attorney and investor-owned full-service title company located in West Palm Beach, Florida. Does your title company have an in-house real estate attorney? For more information, visit www.sunshinestatetitle.net. And by Palm Beach REIA. Palm Beach REIA is a local real estate investment club and member of the National REIC. If you are a new or experienced investor or in a real estate-related business in Palm Beach County, Florida, then this club is for you. With meetings, webinars, and our annual Real Estate Expo, this is a group to help you learn and meet like-minded individuals. For more information, visit www.palmbeachreia.com. For those investors not in the South Florida region, find your local real estate investment club by visiting National REIC at www.nationalreic.com. By joining a real estate investment club that's a member of the National REIC, you will receive member benefits, tools, and discounts to help you with your real estate business. So find your area's real estate investment club by visiting National REIC at www.nationalreic.com. Thank you for listening to the Flipping Hustle podcast. Remember, send us your questions, comments, and show recommendations. And for more episodes, visit us at www.flippinghustlepodcast.com.